Play It Today, Lesson 14. Up to now, all the music you've been playing has been in what is known as simple time. That is, it's had a time signature of 2/4, 3/4 or 4/4. In this lesson, we're going to look at more complicated time signatures based on what is called compound time. This in turn will open up a whole new range of rhythms for you to explore. First, let's remind ourselves of how simple time actually works by turning to page 157 of your Lesson 14 booklet, which shows all the essential points. Looking at the time signatures, you can see that the top number, the numerator, tells you how many beats there are in a bar, while the bottom number, the denominator, shows the length of each beat. So, in 4/4 time, the top number indicates that there are 4 beats to the bar, and the bottom number tells you that each beat lasts a quarter note. In other words, a crotchet. Put more simply, 4/4 time means there are 4 crotchet beats to the bar. So, by the same rule, 3/4 time has 3 crotchet beats to the bar, and 2/4 time has 2 crotchet beats. But why, you're probably wondering, do we group these time signatures together and call them simple time? What do they have in common, and what's simple about them? The answer is that in all 3 cases, each single beat subdivides naturally into 2 parts, as you've learnt when counting. 1 and 2 and 3 and so on. If you beat the time with your hand instead of counting, you'll find you naturally get a downbeat and an upbeat. You bring your hand down on the beat, then lift your hand before the next beat. 1 and 2 and down, up, up. The downbeat is stressed or accented, while the upbeat is unstressed. So whether a piece is in 2/4, 3/4 or 4/4 time, each beat is always simple. That is to say, simply divided into 2 parts. If you now turn to page 158, you can see how compound time differs from simple time. In compound time, each beat divides not into 2, but into 3 parts. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Down, across, up. Down, across, up. In other words, instead of each beat lasting 1 crotchet, it lasts for a dotted crotchet, or 3 quavers. The most common key signatures in compound time are 6/8, 9/8, and 12/8. In 6/8 time, there are 6 quavers to the bar, in 9/8 time, 9 quavers to the bar, and in 12/8 time, 12 quavers to the bar. And since you already know that each beat in compound time lasts for 3 quavers, it's not hard to work out how many beats there should be to the bar. In 6/8 time there are 2 beats to the bar, in 9/8 time 3 beats, and in 12/8 time 4 beats. As usual, the theory becomes much easier to understand if you listen to some examples actually being played. At the bottom of page 158 are 8 such examples, all in 12/8 time. Here's example A, where each of the 4 beats is a dotted crotchet. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now, example B, which has 3 quavers for each of the 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Example C has the first 2 quavers in each group of 3 tied, so in effect each beat is made up of a crotchet and a quaver. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. In example D, the second and third quavers in each group are tied. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Example E has a dotted crotchet tied to the first in a group of 3 quavers which follow it. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now example F, which has the last quaver of the first group tied to the first quaver of the second, and the last quaver of the third group tied to the first quaver of the fourth. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. The quaver rest at the start of the first beat of example G throws the main stress onto the crotchet at the start of the second beat. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Finally, example H has a dotted minim filling the last two beats. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Exercise 139 and exercise 140 both have exactly the same notes. A bar of 6 quavers, C, E, G, F, E, D, repeated once. And yet the two exercises are not the same, because one is in simple time, 3/4, while the other is in compound time, 6/8. It would be a complete mistake to play them so that they sounded identical. Exercise 139 in 3/4 time must be played with 3 beats to the bar, each beat made up of 2 quavers, 1 and 2 and 3 and. Exercise 140, on the other hand, has only 2 beats to the bar, each of 3 quavers, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Let's hear exercise 139. And now, exercise 140. Exactly the same notes, but a totally different rhythm. Now for some exercises to give you practice at playing in compound time. Exercise 141 is for the right hand. It's in 6/8 time with 2 beats to the bar. Exercise 142 for the left hand is in 9/8 time with 3 beats to the bar. Playing exercise 143 accurately calls for some careful counting at first, so listen to the cassette a few times to help you gauge the rhythm. Notice the tied notes between the 5th and 6th bars, and in the last bar. And follow the fingering exactly as it's written. There's a good opportunity to practice your thumb under technique in this exercise too. The piece is in F major, so all the B's are flat. Now here are some exercises for the 2 hands together. Exercise 144 is in 6/8 time. Exercise 145 is in G major, as you can tell from the F-sharp key signature, so of course you play F-sharp instead of F throughout the piece. Notice the contrast between the staccato sound of the sixths and the right hand in bars 1 and 2, and the smooth legato of the next 2 bars. This alternating between staccato and legato carries on to the end in the right hand. But you shouldn't let this influence what your left hand does. It should play as smoothly as possible all the time. The second part of the piece, between the repeat marks, should of course be played twice, although we won't repeat it on the cassette. Here's exercise 145, played through. Exercise 146 is in F major, so make sure you play all the B's as B flat. Watch out too for the tied notes in bars 2 and 4. In the second half of the exercise, the left hand takes over the tune, while the right hand plays the accompaniment. Exercise 146. Some of you will still be finding it a bit difficult to read the notes written on the ledger lines above or below the normal lines of the stave, especially when there are 2 notes at once. So to help you, on page 163, we've picked out some of the more common combinations that you're likely to meet. Try working your way through these examples, playing the notes on the keyboard as you go, and repeat them until you can recognize all the notes and locate them on the keyboard quickly and easily. It's worthwhile coming back to this page from time to time just to refresh your memory. Our practice piece for this lesson is an arrangement of Winter from Vivaldi's The Four Seasons. Bear in mind that the melody in the right hand should ring out clearly against the left-hand accompaniment, which needs to be played more softly. In particular, try not to play the left-hand crotchet staccato. Each crotchet should be held for as long as possible, with only the very smallest gap between it and the next one. Something else to look out for are the F-sharps, which crop up as accidentals here and there. Don't forget that the effect of an accidental only lasts until the next bar line, which cancels it. Here's Winter played through for you now, complete with keyboard and backing. Now here's Winter again, this time without the keyboard part. On page 166 of your booklet, you'll find all the chords you've met so far, set out in a logical way. This will give you a chance to check that you know them all, and to refresh your memory of any that you may have forgotten. In exercise 147, on the next page, we've written 6 sequences of chords for you, but left it up to you how you play them. Choose whatever time signature or rhythmic pattern you like. And if you're feeling adventurous, play each of the sequences several different ways. Before you go ahead, though, let's listen to some examples of rhythmic variations you might play. Here's the first sequence: C, A minor, F, G7 and C, played in 3/4 time with the root note of the chord in the left hand. Now we'll hear the second sequence: G, E minor, A minor, D7 and G, also played in 3/4 time. For the third sequence, D, B minor, E minor, A7 and D, we've chosen 6/8 time, with the root note in the bass, followed by the notes of the chord played as a 5-quaver arpeggio by the right hand. Now here's the fourth sequence, played in the same way as the third. The chords are F, D minor, G minor, C7 and F. We're going to play the fifth sequence, B flat, G minor, C7, F and B flat, in 4/4 time. Once again, the root note in the bass comes first, followed by the chord in the right hand. And now here's the last sequence, D, B minor, E7, A and D, performed like the previous one in 4/4 time. There are endless different ways to play these chord sequences, with the right hand, the left hand or both hands together. If you want to, have a look back at earlier lessons and copy the rhythmic variations there. But at the same time, don't be afraid to experiment freely if you feel like it. Finally, to round off the lesson, here's quite an easy exercise in 12/8 time. Exercise 148. Notice that there are 4 beats to the bar, each one the length of a dotted crotchet. And by the way, don't forget the key signature. The exercise is in F major.